a 45-year-old lady with recurrent palpitation, the structurally normal heart. TMT was negative for inducible ischemia. And can I have the next slide, please? Okay, so this is the 12-lead ECG during symptoms. I will show one more 12-lead ECG. Okay, so we'll have a good look at both the two 12-lead ECGs. They're slightly different. They're both taken during times of symptoms. So this is what we went treatment-wise. There was a 23% PVC burden and a couple of runs of non-sustained ventricular tachycardia. Symptoms continued despite beta blocker. On beta blocker, there was no effect. She was also tried on amiodarone because at that point she was not keen for an intervention. And she's been off drugs for about 1.5 months. Okay.
Okay, we have a patient with symptomatic and some predominantly ventricular ectopy of a left bundle branch block inferior axis transition to V4.
Map this?
Symptomatic
That's okay. Okay, അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ആ സ്പോട്ടിൽ പോയിട്ട് 2-3 ലീഷൻ കൂടെ കൊടുക്കാം. Right, so we have already done, as you can see, there are actually two ectopy. The second ectopy is, the first ectopy has a notch in inferior leads and is wide and has a fairly relatively small R in V4. Can we go to this? Do you want to see the ectopy again, the ECG again?
Can you show us? Yeah, everybody. So there's 2 slides you can put with both the ectopies and show the differences. That will be appreciated to the audience.
Go to the ECG slides. The slides. Yeah, right. Okay. So this is the second ectopy. Can you go to the previous slide, please? Okay. So this is the common morphology of ectopy. So you could discuss that. This has a notch in inferior leads. It's relatively wide.
Yeah, we can see the notch in inferior leads. Correct.
Next slide.
Mapping, but only hardly in ectopy, only 1 or 2.
Okay, so this is a continuous Ecg strip, as you can see. If you look at the rhythm strip at the bottom, the first ectopy has a notch in lead 2. The second ectopy does not have a notch in lead 2. The second ectopy is higher in amplitude compared to the first ectopy. And if you remember the V4 from the previous slide, this has a higher amplitude in V4, and the previous one had a lower amplitude in RS complex in V4.
Yeah, but the transition is V4 in both of the.
Yes, the transition in V4. So the question is the same ectopy with 2 slightly different exits, or it's actually 2 foci which are fairly close to each other. Now, since the notched one is far common than the one, they're frequent. As you can see, this is a continuous tracing.
Both the VPCs together we have taken. Just show. No, the lead. Can someone focus it here?
Yeah, in the Holter, which was more frequent?
The notched one. The notched one was far more frequent.
Prevalent than the other.
The notched one was about 9 times, about 90% were the notched ones, and about 10% were the one without the notch.
Transition same alla രണ്ടിലും കാണിക്കാം അവിടെ
So
കാണിക്കാം.
that makes it clinically relevant, number 1. And number 2 is when we have 2 kinds of ectopy, we should always consider cardiac MRI in these patients. because there is a small differential diagnosis of ARVD which resembles the ectopy. So one of the indications, among various indications, one of the indications is when you have two different kinds of morphologies, or two VTs, one should always consider.
Yeah, but, generally, I think it may be okay if it's just ectopy. Your point is well taken. If it was VT, I would have definitely, if I had non-sustained VT of two morphologies, definitely an MRI. But otherwise, the normalcy of the heart has been established on echo in this case. So,
Can you tell us the strategy now?
right. So, since we are not sure if this ectopy is coming from the coronary cusp or the septal part of the right ventricular outflow tract, they are quite frequent, yes. So we went ahead and created a geometry of the right ventricle focusing on the outflow tract as well as the adjoining coronary cusps, which is seen on your screen now.
Mapping a single ectopy?
We are mapping the common morphology, which is the notched one. Both the ectopy are coming. So the catheter is in the, Narayan, can you just trace the geometry of the right ventricle? Can you, Niranjan? Trace the morphology of the right ventricle, show them the body of the right ventricle, the outflow tract of the right ventricle.
There is a lag period.
Right, so that's the one, yes. Right, right. Okay, so the left side is the right anterior oblique view, the right side is the lateral view, and put the cursor on the where the tricuspid valve would be, please, in the RAO view. In the RAO view, put the cursor on the tricuspid. Okay, so that's where the tricuspid valve would be, and put the cursor on the body of the right ventricle. Okay, so that's the body of the right ventricle and the outflow tract now.
Because now that BBC is not coming. Okay.
Outflow tract, please. Show the outflow tract. Show the area of the outflow tract. Okay, so that is the outflow tract. The catheter is in the outflow tract, and immediately behind the outflow tract is the coronary cusp. Show the coronary cusps. Okay, so those are the coronary cusps. So we did an activation mapping of the common ectopy, and the earliest activation was localized to the outflow tract septum, just off the outflow tract septum, I should say. It's on the outflow tract free wall, just off the septum. That's where the commonest morphology was localized.
Lag ഉണ്ട് അവിടെ. അവിടെ ഉണ്ട്. Any doubt from the house? Dr. Haigreve?
Now show the intracardiac signal of the good PVC.
Already got a very good unipolar signal.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'll show the
because
intracardiac
we
signal.
had very good unipolar. Interestingly, the two morphologies were significantly different. In fact, the other infrequent VPC had an early transition with a tall, narrow-based, peaked QRS in the inferior leads. This we didn't map. The other one, when we mapped in the coronary cusp, it was just at the onset of QRS. The fiducial point we selected was the peak of lead 2 in inferior leads, and it was only at the onset of QRS, which was around 65 milliseconds earlier to the peak of the QRS.
Okay, keep it there. Keep it.
Is that okay?
Back. Okay. And now this screen should go main now. This screen has to go. This screen has to go admin. This screen has to go main. The review screen. So I'm just showing the intracardiac signal. It'll just come up in a moment.
You can see you're doing dense mapping of the notched QRS.
Right.
Yeah.
Area of RVOT, right?
Right.
We did good dense mapping of the RVOT septum and anterior wall at the outflow region. And the earliest was localized to the anterior part of the septum at the outflow. We demonstrated a centrifugal spread from that location. And we'll just show the earliest point with the electrogram as well.
Okay. So now you can see the electrogram at the earliest point.
Okay. Great.
Can you show both VPCs after this in the same location, same screen? First we got both VPCs.
You can, I just highlight a few things about the electrogram. The
How early is that?
37 milliseconds. Don't do that.
No.
Put it back to it.
Both.
Okay. So we'll just focus on this electrogram right now. So this is 37 milliseconds before the onset of the QRS. The ablation 1-2 bipolar is distinctly earlier than the ablation 3-4 bipolar.
Okay.
The ablation 1 unipolar shows a
this
QS complex, and the ablation 1 unipolar is definitely earlier than the ablation 2 unipolar.
Keep it there, don't move. ഇതിന് VPC എവിടെ പോയി എന്താ അറിയില്ല.
So now we'll also show the two PVCs simultaneously. Can you go to the one where we had both PVCs simultaneously? Go to the log.
Any questions from the audience? From JP, any questions? Any comments, questions? So now we'll also show the two PVCs simultaneously. Go to the one where we had both PVCs simultaneously. Go to the log.
Go intracardiac, show intracardiac.
Yeah, show intracardiac with that. Yeah.
Right, so you can see that the first PVC on the screen is the one with the tall R in V4 and without the notch in lead 2. In that PVC, this particular area is relatively late. Compared to the second PVC, which is the one with the notch in lead 2 and the RS in V4, this area is early. So this clearly shows that the two PVCs are coming from two different areas.
Just make that septal exit in a point. Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, just one more point probably it is worthwhile. This they have different activation bipole in the local ablation signals if you see. That also shows it is not due to different exit from the septum. That shows they have different origin and activation into the right ventricle as well. So that also may be a clue when we map these things. That is a good thing, no? Activation bipole inversion.
Okay. So now actually we have given one single lesion for 10 seconds at this good site, and I will show you what happened with that lesion.
Just show that.
With the unipolar signal, the second topic.
Yes. Yes, Dr. Haigru, you're saying something?
Dr. Hegri?
Yeah, there's just slight trace of positivity.
In the unipolar, yes, the catheters moved just a little bit. Yes, you're right. You're right. This second ectopy in this location is not as great as the first signal we showed. It's moved just a little bit. This is just to highlight that the two ectopy are different. It's not to say that we ablated here. The previous tracing we showed was far better. Okay, so can you show the ablation signal? We are given one lesion actually, because the catheter wouldn't exactly stay right there, so we decided to give a lesion.
Okay, waiting to see your ablation.
Yeah,
Acceleration of
there was actually the second one, the 7-second one, not this, not this. The RF2, show the, see, these are the two lesions we gave at that site, and show the
With acceleration.
show the response to
Yeah, this is
ablation.
the response. So response, yeah, just show that. This.
Okay, can we have the other screen up, please?
This is the response.
Can we have the review screen up, please? That screen. Show that screen.
Review screen. EP review screen.
what is expected generally is that
Yeah, yeah.
or acceleration of the target ectopy before it gets embedded.
Okay, so this is, we have given a lesion for 7 seconds and stopped. We plan to go back and I feel it's a good response.
You'll see that there is some degree of acceleration of 4 beats. After that, was there?
I stopped ablating.
Cessation of
No, I stopped ablating after. Yeah, there's cessation of actually this ectopy is not coming now. It's just 7 seconds of ablation, now this ectopy is not coming. We thought we'd save the ectopy for the audience, but
Why did you stop?
we wanted to do it live.
Other PVC
Simple.
can I map?
But now that I have a 3D, I can go back and consolidate there.
That's why.
Just map the other PVC. It is frequent now. It's in the cusp.
Yeah, man.
It's in the cusp.
Yeah, but you cannot get the acceleration.
Did you map the other one? Did you map the other one?
Ajit, you have got 1 or 2 minutes.
Yeah. So now, can you come to the live screen, please? Show the screen
Show the
live.
live screen.
Sharp at 12 will start.
It is
Yes,
there.
we will. Show the live. Show the screen.
Either anybody.
Can you ask them to show the live screen?
Or we can tilt it there. That side.
Show the live screen, please.
അങ്ങോട്ട് തിരിച്ചു വെച്ചാൽ മതി.
Nobody there is listening. Joe. Show the live screen, please. EP live. EP live, this one.
Any comments from the house meanwhile?
This screen. EP live, not 3D.
Dr. Haigreve?
EP live screen. This screen, EP live. Show the EP live screen, please. This screen should come there. This is the EP live screen. Show this screen. Right.
Yeah, please.
Okay, so now we are live and you can see there are no ectopy.
Yeah.
That's the live screen running continuously. There is occasionally ectopy of that narrow QRS morphology, but by and large there are
It's
very
that-
few ectopy.
The daily precordial transition, the other VPC. Yeah,
Right.
other VPC is there, which is quite infrequent. But I think it comes probably from the coronary cusp. We are going to map it after this.
So what we're going to do now is first consolidate the initial lesion because that particular ectopy is gone.
Gone, totally gone.
You just gave a 7-second.
Yes.
We are going to consolidate it.
We are going to consolidate that. We wanted to do it live, but since we had acceleration at 7 seconds, we stopped. We wanted to continue it live. So we're going to go back and continue that live right now.
Now, that's great.
Okay. Now you can go back to the 3D screen. Go back to the 3D screen.
Yeah. And now it is not accelerating.
No, we are, yeah.
That's a great job, and we'll give you a clap from the audience. And then with that, Dr. Namudri and Dr. Ajit, thank you very much.